All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to March and our monthly users group meeting. Hope everybody is doing well. Seems like a light crowd today. So this month we're going to be dealing with just some tips and tricks that I like to use a lot myself. When we pass them along to some people might get some use out of them. Start with our introductions. Our steering committee: Matt Canizio, David Day.
Howdy.
Is Terry still going to be on our steering committee?
I haven't heard any change.
Okay.
I can't answer that for you, George, but he's going to be here tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
I have no problem keeping him on the list. I just don't want to assume he's going to be involved if he's not.
Well, he continues to post on the website the agenda when it goes out, and he continues to post whatever he always did post.
Okay, that's good. Hopefully, we'll get to see him sometime soon. Mark,
probably not.
Oh boy.
Marguerite Peterson, Ed Sheeran, Jan Sparks, which I don't think Jan logged in, I'm George Wagner, and Bob Wilkerson. If you have any questions, comments, complaints, compliments, please pass along to one of these people. And if you have suggestions for future topics and content, definitely let us know. We'd love to hear what you want to see. Don't feel like if you say you want to hear something about something that you're going to have to do the presentation. We are more than happy to take care of that end of it. However, if you are interested in doing a presentation, don't be shy. So today we're going to talk about tips and tricks. The first one, I love screenshots. Now on the computer, on the Mac, you've got the key combinations of Shift, Command 3 to take a picture of the whole screen. Shift Command 4 to let you select what part of the screen you want to take. And if on Shift Command 4 you add hit the space bar, it turns into a little camera icon and highlights windows and menus and objects on the screen. Now, what's really cool about this is if you want to do a step-by-step for somebody, you can pull up a menu, hit Command Shift 4 spacebar, and get a picture of the menu. It's also, because it's grabbing the object, it grabs it with the nice shaded background to it. So you've got the kind of soft look to it. And it basically lets you grab anything. If you've got 4 or 5 windows open and one of them is in the back of the group, as long as you see part of that window, you can actually grab the whole window without having to close everything or move things around. If you use just the section of the screen, you got to make sure everything's positioned just right. And it takes more time. Okay. Now, the really cool thing is if you add control to any of these, so Shift Command Control 3, it basically, instead of copying it to a file on the desktop, which it would by default it usually goes to, it puts it in the clipboard. Does not save a file. You don't have to worry about deleting anything later. So you do your Command Shift 3, takes a picture of the screen, of the full screen, puts it in the clipboard. You can then paste it where you want it to be. Also very useful when you're doing a how-to, because you've got all these pictures you're going to need. When you're done, you don't want to have to clean up 37 pictures that you took to make this presentation. Okay. Now, more recently, Apple added a Command Shift 5. Command Shift 5 is very, very cool because what it does is it eliminates the need for you to know Command Shift 3 and Command Shift 4, because it basically brings up a menu that allows you to choose whether you want. On the left side there, you can see the full screen. And you've got the second one, which is a window or object, and the third one is a selection of the screen. So basically, equivalent of Command Shift 3, Command Shift 4, and then the Command Shift 4 with the space bar. They also have the next two, which are screen recording of the full screen or a section of the screen. Okay. The options menu lets you choose where you want to save these files when you take your screenshots. Desktop documents, the folder called incoming screenshots, to the clipboard, or straight to certain programs, mail, message, preview, and other locations. You can also put a delay timer on it, so you can say, okay, I want to take a screenshot, but I want to, once I tell it to, I got to get something ready, so I need a couple seconds to get it ready. That's very useful if you want to have a full screenshot of the screen with a certain menu open. You do the timer, you open the menu, you wait, boom, it takes the picture. Right? Now you also see the floating thumbnail. That's a new. When you take a screenshot, you will get in the bottom left corner a little thumbnail appear of that screenshot that you took. If you don't do anything, the screenshot then goes away and goes to wherever you've told it to storage. But if you click on it, you can actually edit. You can send it to somebody via email, via text, whatever you need to do. And then when you're done, delete it and never have to save it. I like that feature too, because a lot of times you just say, oh, I want to send it to somebody, screenshot, send it in a text message, delete it, it's gone. I never have to worry about it. Clutter up my desktop. The process is also the same, very similar on the iPhones and iPads. It uses the power key and the volume up on the newer phones. On the phones with the home button, it's the power key and the home button. Hitting those two simultaneously will take a screenshot. You will also get that little thumbnail in the corner, which you can then again tap on and have it open up. You can edit it, crop it, whatever you need to with it, and then decide if you want to email it to somebody, text it to somebody, whatever you need to do. There's also a screen recorder. The screen recorder option is in the control center. You pull down on the top right of your screen, you'll see control center. There should be, I believe the default combination had the screen recorder in there. It's basically just an icon of a yeah, it's just the circle within a circle button. When you tap that, it then becomes it counts down to 3, gives you time to get out of the control center to get back to where you were, and it starts recording. Whatever you do at that point, it's going to record. There's a little red pill in the top left corner letting you know that it's recording. When you're ready to finish, you tap that pill. It then stops recording and saves that to your photo library. At that point, you can go to the photo library, you can open it up, you can check it out, you can crop it if you need to, or do whatever you need to do with it. They've made it very very straightforward, very easy to deal with. I use the screenshot daily.
Mm-hmm. George, I do a lot of screenshots. I'm reading an email. If there's anything important in it, I just do a screenshot. I use Siri, or I did use it exclusively. Hey, Siri, take a screenshot. But, I've got 2 iPads and a phone right next to each other, the iPhone and the 2 iPads. I have yet to figure out how it decides which one to do, because I end up with a lot of blank pictures. It's taking a picture of the closed iPads. So now I've switched over to the power key and the volume up and down. Volume up. The thing that I did discover, though, is I thought Siri would do the same thing on my iMac here. It doesn't work. You've got to use those commands. You can't say, hey, Siri, take a screenshot. You see, it should have done something by me saying that, but it didn't do anything.
Yeah, one of the things I did early on when they introduced Hey Siri is I turned it off on every other device other than my phone. Otherwise, everybody was answering what. But yeah, go there.
My understanding of Siri is that, and it used to work because I've used it a lot, but like you do, Matt. But they, for some reason, recently in the updates of Siri, the handoff between the devices. In other words, that device that has the strongest microphone signal is supposed to be the one that's assigned to take on the task that whatever you set up. And at this point, they've made the HomePod's microphones are super sensitive because they got to follow you around a room. and it's really gotten worse and worse. And so they're going to have to do something about how, this handoff stuff.
One thing they need to do is allow you to call your device by name. So you can say, when you say, hey Siri, you don't want it to grab all of them. What you want it to do is say, hey iPhone, hey iPad, hey, be able to give them reference and by.
That's a good suggestion.
Very good. David, I didn't know about that microphone sensitivity.
Yeah, that's how they determine, who's going to answer. And the thing is, it used to be predictable and it worked properly. Now they've done so many things with a home app to try to make it better, that it's really kind of trashed some of the other things that were set up. So hopefully this 16.4 will fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what you'll see here, this is an example with the iPhone. And actually, in doing the presentation, I learned something new. So when you take your screenshot, you see the left icon, left picture there, you get the little thumbnail on the bottom left. Tap the little thumbnail, you get the second screen, which basically lets you then choose. You can grab a corner and crop it. You can grab the highlighter and make notations on it. At that point, you can then hit the share send and send it off to wherever you need to do. If you hit done, you'll get the option to save it to photos, save it to files. You'll also get the option to delete it. But the new option they have is copy and delete. This is very useful because it basically lets you copy to clipboard and then you don't need it anymore. So it deletes it, but you do that in one step. Before you could hit the share send and choose copy, and then you'd have to delete it.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the fact that they're streamlining that. But you also, if you're on the first screen, when you have that little thumbnail, you can press and hold on the thumbnail and drag it, and if you pull down, it will show the apps. I'm sorry, not pull, slide up, it'll show the multitasking, and so you can drag it into a different app.
Mm-hmm.
Drag and drop it into that app. And I hadn't realized that. I've done the drag and drop in other products, but I didn't realize that the thumbnail lets you do that. So that was very cool.
Can you tell it to print?
Yes, I believe you can. When you hit the share send, print should be one of the options. Now, for those who don't know this, when you're in the print and you get that little preview, if you put your fingers together and spread out, it basically will open up the PDF document that it uses to preview, and then you can actually save the PDF document, which can be a multiple page PDF document if you want. What's nice too is if it's a you got a web page and you go into the share send and it's 7 pages of printing, you don't want that, you'll need the first 2 pages. If you do the page range before you do the zoom out, you'll only have those pages in your PDF.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, George. That's helpful because I've always wondered how to print it or save it as a PDF as opposed to printing it to the printer. So that's really helpful.
Actually, before I forget, when you go into if you're like on Safari and you take a screenshot, the middle picture will have at the top an option, a tab for page, full page. So basically, if you take the screenshot, it takes just what was on the phone screen or the iPad screen. But if you choose the other tab, it takes the entire scrollable Safari page or whatever the document is, however long it is, as a PDF. Okay. So that's also very useful.
I see those icons there. Will a pencil work on an iPhone?
Well, that's
The
actually,
Apple
yeah. Well, actually, that I don't. I'm trying to think. Does it work on the iPhone? But those are basically just tools within this thing. It's not actually the tool, the Apple Pencil.
Okay.
It's just a pencil.
I've never tried it. I assumed it didn't, but okay.
That's a good question. I haven't tried that either. Anybody have an Apple Pencil that can try that? Please let me know.
I have tried it and it does not work on the phone.
Okay.
So next we're going to do text shortcuts. Now this is different than when you hear shortcut, you know, the keyboard shortcuts or the shortcut app. No, this is basically text expansion. So I use this constantly. And I also recommend this if you've got an email that's kind of long. This is very useful because I can't tell you how many times I have mistyped my email, and somebody had that, and you know, instead of G Wagner, I hit E right next to W, so it was a G E Agner, and I don't notice. So, but I just type in my abbreviation. So what you've got is on the Mac. If you go into Keyboard and System Preferences, okay, you'll see the text option. Okay, and what you have is one that they put in all the devices built in is OMW, on my way. If you type in OMW anywhere that you can type, it will give you the option to replace with on my way. Okay. You see the one I have on top there is one I do for my comedy shows. It's big long things. If you enjoyed the show, please, it gives all the information about, you know, donation, following, and all this. It's a paragraph. I type in those 4 characters, I get the paragraph. Now, very important, your abbreviation needs to be something that you will never type accidentally. You know, in any other case, you only will type it when you want to get this expansion. Okay, so you make something that you'll remember, but you don't make it an actual word. If you put in, you know, John, every time you type in John, it replaces this. It's going to be a problem down the road. Okay. But it is.
I have George. I have it in there as AM for Aunt Margaret. When I type a time, I get my time and my Aunt Margaret. So you're absolutely right. Don't use an obvious abbreviation.
Well, and then you got in your case, it's like you're gonna say, "I am Aunt Margaret."
No, I sign off to my nieces with AM, but you type AM PM, I get Aunt Margaret. I mean.
Right. But if you typed in a sentence that said "I am Aunt Margaret," it would be AM AM. Yeah. What I do is, like, I've got one that's ADF, address full, puts my full address in. ADST puts just the street in. I love this when I'm filling out forms.
George, can you include special characters?
You can, yeah, anything that you can type.
Okay, good.
And what's nice is that what they haven't done yet, I'm hoping that they will tie this into the iCloud so that my shortcuts here, my shortcuts on my phone merge. Because, you know, otherwise I have to create them on both sides. And I actually got in here and I got a whole bunch of them that aren't here. It's like, I don't know what happened to them, so I have to recreate them. Okay. Now you've got the same thing on the phone. Go into settings, go to general, go down to keyboard, and then do text replacement. You see here, I got a little more of them. But you see the ADF, the ADST are the ones I use all the time. Lower down, I've got my my comedy email address is buttondowncomedy@gmail.com. That's a long one to type out all the time, so I just do BCom.
George, I should have clarified my question. I really meant special characters in your abbreviation.
Doesn't matter either way.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Some that are my donations that have a $sign in them.
Right.
Make me remember. And for social media, you put like an @ symbol to make you think that. But you have to be careful. Again, that's not something that you might accidentally type. You do the @ symbol, and the characters that come after the beginning of charter. Every time you do a charter email address, it's going to mess you up. So yeah, that's it. That's the only caveat is to be very picky on your combinations so they don't come in automatically when you don't want them to. Anything you put in here actually comes in the predictive typing, so it'll come in autocorrect. Will come up and say, "Hey, is this what you meant?" And it'll be there, and you say, "Yep, that's what I want." Now, what's nice is you can select it in autocorrect, or anytime you hit punctuation or spaces or return, it will then expand. I recommend playing around with the text shortcuts. They are a very big time saver. And that's how you'll set it up. You put in your phrase, the long thing that you want to put in, and then you put it in your shortcut. Now, you see it says optional. The reason it's optional is because it is in the predictive typing. If you start typing out that phrase, the predictive typing will see the phrase in your list here and replace it. But I don't recommend doing it that way. I like having the shortcut. It makes it a lot easier. Magnifier. I know a lot of you I've told about the magnifier. I love magnifier. It is one of the most useful things I have. The only thing that comes more useful is the flashlight. And to be honest with you, the flashlight's also part of the magnifier. So once you've turned it on, you triple click the side button, power button on the phones without a home button, or the home button if on the ones that do have the home button. So 3 clicks of that brings up the magnifier. And what's really cool about that is once you've done that, you can do that on a lock screen. You have options of turning the flashlight on to lighten up your object. You have the ability to slide the little zoom in, zoom out. When you hit the button, it locks that image in, so you can then pull away from it. For example, if you've got cooking instructions on a package and they're small letters, you take that. You don't have to leave the package out the whole time. Once you've got the image locked, throw the package away, you've got the instructions. You can zoom in and out on that image after you've locked it. So that's very cool. It also has some brightness options, so you can increase, decrease brightness to get the picture to look better. The filters, which I always thought were more filters are for fun. People will do filters on Snapchat and all that. I thought, why are they putting filters on there? And then I realized when I was crawling on the floor, getting a serial number off a computer that was written in silver letters on a black background, that it was hard to read. So you take the filters and you can put a red filter or a blue filter, yellow filter, different colors, and you choose the right filter, and that just popped, and you can read it clear as day. So the filters are very, very useful.
George, I could have actually used that a short while ago. I bought an addition to my home theater section, a Sonos mini sub. And in order to activate it, you have to enter the serial number. Well, I could not find that darn thing, no matter where I looked. So I called help, and it turned out that it was somewhere else, but it was silver on silver.
Yeah.
Now here I am crawling on the floor looking for it before I finally gave it up and called them. Then I felt like an idiot, of course.
Have like a computer, like the desk tower you got on the floor underneath where it's dark, and you got silver on silver, and the dark is basically invisible.
Right.
So, you can also trigger magnifier from the control center, as well as with Siri. And on the iOS devices especially, Siri can do so many things. It's very, very handy. I'm surprised that they don't do the screenshot on the computer, but hopefully they'll add that down the road. But yeah, the magnifier I use constantly.
George, I lost my mind for a minute. Where is the lock capability? How do you enable that?
Oh, if you just hit the big button there.
In the center?
Yeah, like taking a picture.
Okay.
That locks the image in.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks.
You want to release it, you just hit it again and it releases it.
All right, good.
Do these tips work on iPads too?
Yes.
Okay. I have my phone here and I'm kind of playing along as we go, but I don't have an iPad beside me. So, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, Zoom, which kind of sounds like it's the same, is a little different. What Zoom does is Zoom basically zooms in the image on the screen. I love Zoom. There's so many times that you have a web something and they've got real small text. Now, most fine, it's just one section. So you don't want to have to increase everything all the time. You just need it right now. So basically, what you see here is this is how you can turn on Zoom, and there's some options within the Zoom settings. go to settings, accessibility, zoom, and then just turn it on. And you check the options, see which options you want to turn on. The default ones are usually fine. If you have a pointer device that does support it, that's more for disabilities. And then you've got the options for the zoom panning, whether you want it to be how you want it to pan around. And then there's some ability to add zoom to your shortcuts. But once you've got zoom on, double tap the screen with 3 fingers. The only thing that is make sure the fingers are not right next to each other. Make sure there's a little space between them because it needs to detect 3 distinct points. Just double tap it and it toggles zoom on or off. Now the level of the zoom is controlled by double tapping, and don't lift after the second tap. Double tap and slide, and that will basically start to zoom in. So you do a little bit of zoom or a lot of zoom. Once you do that and let go, then it toggles between that level of zoom and no level of zoom. Sometimes I have it where it just zooms in just a little bit because I just need to be able to read things a little bit better. Now you can also triple tap with 2 fingers to bring up the zoom menu. And with that, you can then manually use the little scroll bar to choose what zoom level you want. And then you have the options of whether or not you want to have the zoom window or the full screen. The zoom window is like it'll have just a rectangle that basically within that rectangle it zooms like a magnifying glass. I'm more, I like the whole window, the whole screen zoom, so I go with that option, but it's personal preference.
Say, George, I've got my iPhone in the zoom mode now. How do I get out of the zoom mode?
3 fingers, double tap. It's a toggle. There's something I just heard yesterday. Talks about there's a neat thing they did in VoiceOver. VoiceOver is the screen reader, what reads what's on the screen. They added a feature for in combination with the sing function, which is the karaoke, where basically you can have a AirPod in, and it will basically verbally read you the karaoke lyrics just a little bit before you need to say them. So I guess for people who have vision issues or can't see the screen, they can basically still do the karaoke, which is kind of cool. A lot of these things can be set to some of the like the back tap button if you want to do that. If you use it enough, those are features to have that you can do. There's a whole slew of accessibility features designed for people with disabilities, but they are also very useful in general. So don't be afraid to kind of look in there and see if there's anything that might be of interest to you. There's screen readers, there's flashing. They even have sound recognition where it can recognize a baby crying or a dog barking. So there's a lot of very useful things in there. Yep, that was all I went over today. But there's so many different things, and what I'm going to do is probably introduce some other ones later. I didn't want to go too long because my list is of shortcuts that I use is long. I've always find it interesting because I'll do like a screenshot, and screenshot's been around forever. I think it was like in the second version of the operating system back in 1985. And when I do a screenshot, I have so many people that are like, "Oh, you can do that," and I realize that there's all these really cool things that have been around forever that I take for granted. That a lot of people don't even know are there. I was glad Apple introduced the Command Shift 5, which is basically the screenshot menu. That's the first time that they've ever really brought that in our face. It was like you had to know the secret code up to then. Now it's like right there. You just click, 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 and you go.
I use that exclusively now. I got tired of that, remembering the numbers. George, I did stumble into something the other day that might be useful for folks. I'm using, as I mentioned earlier, I'm using my iPad more and more and my iMac less and less. And of course, I use the iPad for email. The email app gives you an option to customize your bar, the title bar, to add things. I've seen this in word processors where you could, add all those functions in there, whatever you want for word processing. But if you see on the right side of your bar, your title bar, you'll see 3 dots. If you touch that, the customization thing comes up. And the first thing I did was put a trash can for spam or junk mail. I used to do it another way, but this is much easier. There's a couple other things, but I didn't even realize you could take your title bar and customize it.
Yeah, actually, you could do that on the Mac as well.
Okay. As
Is
I
this-
said, I hardly use it anymore.
I just looked on my phone, Matt, and I don't have that on my mail app on the phone.
Okay. The
May
iPad.
have it on the iPad. I'm
iPad.
sure.
Yeah.
That's a good suggestion.
Mm.
So you tap that icon, that trash icon, and instead of it going to the trash, it goes to junk, right?
Junk, absolutely.
Okay,
I should have
cool.
said junk. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should also be able to customize the menu with the view an email app. So when you click on an email, the menu bar changes a little bit. You should be able to customize that one as well.
Mm-hmm. So George, I'm not annoyed that they're going to come out with another iMac since I just bought this one, 3 months ago, whatever it was. They'll be coming out with another one, with the M3 chip or whatever, by the end of the year. But as I said, I'm sort of transitioning away from the desktop.
Yeah. Well, and the reality is the desktop is transitioning into iOS.
Yes.
So we're basically gonna soon be in a situation where it doesn't matter when you buy, you have the same operating system on it. And I think that's a good thing. So I think you'll start seeing a lot more robust apps being available for the iPad because they were written for the Mac, and since now they are interchangeable, they should run on an iMac as well. One of the advantages of that whole 64-bit push that they had for a long time was that they also moved into the kind of the universal, forced all these update the operating system or update their applications, and the new operating system is so unified that it makes it very easy for them to go between the two platforms. So it really the market for the developers and the options for the users. Win-win. Does anybody have any questions?
I have another comment. A while ago, Apple bought a company that specializes in streaming simply classical music. And they've had it for a couple of years, and finally they're releasing an app. So far, it's only been released for the iPhone, and even then, it's not active yet. It's like a pre-order of an app when you do it on the iPhone. Yeah. But this, for people who love classical music, if you're subscribed to Apple Music, your Apple Music regular subscription will cover this new service. But if you simply are interested in the classical music and not the rest of music, iMusic, it's going to be about $5 a month, I think, $4.99 a month. And the thing that differentiates it is there's such a world of difference between popular music and classical. You want to be able to look and search not only by the name of something, but by perhaps the conductor or the symphony or whatever it is. So it's a specialized thing. It took them a couple of years to get it going, but I certainly want to use it. And the curious factor is that they're releasing this on the 28th, which is exactly when the Sonos company releases their new speakers. And one of the new speakers features is going to be able to, to get things directly streaming. And before, you needed an Apple TV in order to do that. But now they believe that you're going to be able to stream, using this app. and not need an Apple TV puck.
That'll be useful.
It's so they can do that both Atmos and spatial audio. You know, you don't have to know what it is, just it sounds better, and that it, of course, it uses a lot more bandwidth and all that sort of stuff. But I looked forward to this for well over a year now.
Hey,
Nice.
George.
Yeah.
George, I got a couple of questions. I'm now solving my personal problem. I've decided to get rid of my old computers. Number one, how do you get rid of? Where do you do it? Do you take it to the recycling center, or how do you get rid of an old computer? I got an old Mac, and I've got an old iPad. And secondary to that is, how do I take all the for that old Mac? I think it's got Mountain Lion on it, so it's got an operating system. Is there an easy way to take all that stuff off the computer and the iPads?
Yeah, the iPad is real easy. If you go into General, go down to Reset, and you have an option that says Erase All Content. You'll have to type in your ID to release it from your Apple ID for the Find My function. Once you've done that, it'll proceed to erase the entire device and basically just put a basic operating system on it.
Okay.
The computer, a little different. Mountain Lion was a CD or DVD install. Do you still?
I don't think so.
That makes it a little more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
What you can do in your situation then is, I would say, do you have the cord to connect that up to your other computer?
I'm not sure. How would it be a USB type connection?
It's either going to be a Thunderbolt, Firewire, or a combination of the two, depending on what's on the computers.
Right. Now, I think if I can find it, I have a copy of Mountain Lion or whatever it was on a thumbnail, a drive of some kind of small drive, I think.
What you'll need basically is boot from that device, the USB drive. It should come up into the like the recovery utilities. We have like the disk utility, install operating system, those options. If you go into disk utility, choose the internal hard drive for the computer, and basically tell it to erase it. I would probably do a couple, like at least the first level of security erase, which basically takes it and wipes it a couple times. If you have information that you feel is pretty potentially damaging or financial information, then do the longer security wipes.
Right.
Where it basically erases everything's on there and then writes over the drive multiple times to make sure that there's no information that can be retrieved.
Right. Now, when I do that, where do I take that?
You take it to the recycling center for Pisgah Forest. I did it recently. It's free. If you brought them a TV, they would charge you $15, but it's free. But you probably weren't here when I talked about decommissioning my iMac. I went on YouTube and I found out how easy it was to take the screen off. You simply need a utility knife and you run it around, and then it pops off and you see the disc right in front of your face. And there's a couple screws there. It's in a plastic mount. You just take it out and then do something with that, put nails in it and throw it in your regular garbage or something like that. But it's easier to do that than to actually go through all that other stuff, because I had the thing done in less than 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, if you gotta trash it, he's right.
Yeah.
If you want somebody, you want to basically wipe it.
Yeah. But suddenly the screen was crazy. And I was about ready to give it to somebody, and thank God, I was bringing it up that day. I was opening up the iMac or starting it just so that I could get rid of stuff and everything. And the screen was just completely bananas on it, so it's time to jump.
Bob, I can erase those for you if you'd rather. We can just arrange for you to get them to me, and I'll erase them and recycle them for you if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be very nice, Kevin. That would be great. Let me. Can
I sent a chat to you directly with my phone number.
Great.
So if you want to grab that, then you can give me a call and we can arrange to pick up those devices, and I'll erase them for you. I've got a few that I've just finished erasing, so I can bring them all down at the same time.
Right. Outstanding. Do you know anybody? Number one, I don't know if is there any could that be a value to anybody that Mountain Lion year it was 2004 or 3, something like that.
Bit long, but I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody who probably is better than not having one at all, but it's pretty long in the tooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, if some of the devices that I have, if they're able to be upgraded, then I try to upgrade them and get them to somebody who needs it. And if not, if it's too old and I can't find anybody, then I'll bring them down and recycle them. So,
do you live here in Brevard, Kevin?
Yeah, I live in Pisgah Forest.
Right.
Kevin, do you handle? I have a Dell all-in-one. I'm looking at it right now. Do you do the same thing with that? The Dell works. It's just that I want to upgrade one of these days, and I was just wondering what to do with the Dell.
I've just done a PC laptop for somebody recently, so yes, I can do the same thing.
Okay, yeah, I'd be happy that it got donated to someone who needed it. It's a 24-inch. It's a it's a good computer, but I just want something a little smaller and more up to date. I think it has Windows 11 though. I think it did take 11, so it's a hefty machine.
Okay, I have some questions and my hand's been up for a while.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. First of all, on the screenshots, I want to make a comment that George taught me a long time ago. The shift control, control, shift, command, and 4. You have to have 2 hands to do it. It's the one that puts the screenshot onto your clipboard. I have used it so much that the other day I decided to count it, and I used it 17 times.
Wow.
In one day. The other comment I want to make is I'm not happy with the Ventura print menu. I often have to go margin to margin on some of my papers, and when I pull up the print thumbnail, the print preview, that little oval they've got there that says you're printing 1 of 1 or 1 of 2 is overlapping, and I can't move it. Is there a way to do that on the print preview? In other words, I can't see the bottom of my page because that little oval overlays it.
Gratefully, I'm not in Ventura, but what you could do is in the PDF menu, choose Open Preview in Open PDF and Preview.
Okay.
And that way, it'll basically open the whole thing, and there'll be a little button at the bottom that says Print. So if you then hit Print. Will
that convert my document to a PDF then?
It already has been. That's what the preview is.
Okay.
And then if you wanted to, you then from that thing, if you want to save it as a PDF, you can do that.
Okay. Recently, one of the things that I do is watch a German news channel, and they don't have closed captioning. And I usually sit with my iPad to translate what I can't get. And I found that my iPad records them. And I thought I was so happy to see it. I let it go for a couple pages. I don't know where that recording is. Where can I find it to delete that thing? It's on an iPad. I was in Google Translate app when that happened.
Well,
Did you check in photos?
Well, it's a recording. Would it be in photos?
I would check in files,
Under what?
in the files app.
Yeah.
You can check out, look to see if there's maybe a Google folder or a recordings folder.
Okay. I don't have it here, but I'll look.
I would, Margarita, I would also check the settings for the Google app. They may have given you an option or have a default for where they store recordings.
Yeah. Was fascinating to watch the thing, but now I don't know where there's a couple pages of it, and I don't know
Yep.
where to get rid of it. The other thing I can't find, and I've asked this question in the past, when I set up an email and I type in or begin to type in the name of a recipient who has had either multiple emails or old deleted emails, they still pop up. I have gone into the window in the mail app and deleted recent recipients time and again and cleared that out. I don't know how to get rid of old, not usable emails that computer has stored somewhere.
Basically, to my knowledge, there's 3 ways that the mail program gets emails: from your contacts, from your previous recipients, and from existing emails. I still see it on old emails pull up information about people that is no longer valid, but I have an email from them back when it was.
Now, George, you know I don't save old emails, so it's not there. I've cleared the email listing. They're not in my contacts with in other words, the deleted email addresses are gone from my computer everywhere, and yet occasionally they'll pop up.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because as far as I know, there are 3 places that can pull the emails from.
Okay. And my biggest frustration is that I have a new watch and it will not ring on messages. Now, I know that Apple has set up by default that if the iPhone and the watch are nearby, the iPhone will not ring on messages. I understand that. But the watch will only vibrate, and it doesn't vibrate enough normally for me to notice it, or I don't notice it all the time. And I need the watch to ring or the iPhone to ring when a message comes in. And I've done hoops with this, short of calling Apple. That's my next move, but I'm out of warranty with the watch now. I mean, I've turned off focus. I don't like focus. I've turned that thing off on all my devices. I certainly am not in airplane mode. I'm not in silence mode. I don't know what to do.
And notifications is well, it's doing vibration, so it should do the same.
I have on sounds and hepatics.
Did you try turning up the hepatic so that it vibrates harder for you, at least for that part?
There's only one slider by sounds and hepatics, and that one is all the way up.
Roughly, I am not a owner of a Apple Watch yet, so I can't.
Oh, you should be, George.
Had a watch in 30 years.
So Marguerite,
I didn't either. I did the same thing, but man, I'm so glad I did it.
Marguerite, if you go onto your watch and you go to the settings app on your watch, there's settings there for, let me just go back out here so I can get it.
There's notifications.
Yeah, you're gonna go down to sounds and you're gonna go to sounds and haptics. And then you have an alert volume is at the top, so you can change the volume there. Make sure that it's not in silent mode.
No,
And then scroll.
The bar is all the way up. Silent mode is not on.
Okay, scroll down, go to haptic alerts, make sure that's turned on and choose prominent.
Yep.
That's on and prominent is checked.
Okay. And if you want, I mean, I can come down sometime and we can play around with this and see if I can't get it working on your, you can show me what's going on and we'll get it sorted out so you can have it ringing where it needs to be ringing.
Okay, I appreciate that, Kevin. And next
I
time.
know for me, if my phone is nearby and I get a call, you're talking about a call or a text message?
Message.
Okay. So yeah, I'll have to see which one that does it on me. I usually get the vibration and a little ding when I get a message. But I can come by, Marguerite, and we'll take a look at that, play around with it.
Well, you're in the neighborhood frequently. Let me know.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Kevin.
I have a question.
Okay. What you got?
It's crazy, but I can't seem to access any information from TMUG after 2022 when I go to meeting notes, or I'm trying to look at I want to look at Kevin's presentation from last month and I just can't find it.
Not sure if I uploaded last month's. That might be on me, but we
Okay.
should have the one prior to that up there.
I did
Okay.
go and check and I didn't see anything either.
Okay.
So it's just 2022 that's up there and no 2023.
Right. Okay. All right, I'll check back later then. Thanks.
Is that something I should ask Terry about tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of them on the YouTube page, but the link should be on the Facebook page and the website.
George?
Yeah.
When I print a calendar, is there a way for the times of the events to be printed?
Yeah, actually, it's in the options. Yeah, I think, are they visible on the calendar when you're looking at it?
The display has them, yes.
Okay, because mine, when I do that, when I have it there, it does show them in the printout. Hang on, let me take this off. Yeah, and the options is actually, I'm not seeing anything turn off. It's showing it in my display on my preview. It shows the times of the events. So I'm not sure why it wouldn't on yours.
See, my preview does not show the times.
Yeah, I'm running an older version of the operation of the program, so it may be that they've changed something on the newer one. But
Which operating system are you running, Ken?
Monterey.
I don't even say way of turning the times off on the preview, unless hang on, let's see.
You're using Apple Mail, right, Ken?
No, the
Apple
calendar.
Mail? Yes.
Apple Calendar, rather.
Calendar, right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
But it's on yours, huh? The times are on yours. Huh.
And it's an option to turn off the displayed times on the calendar, but I'm not seeing it.
I'm running Ventura, and mine shows on the display as well as the preview the times, but I don't have a computer with Monterey on it right now.
And I'm not seeing an option to even turn that off.
Yeah, there's nothing on Ventura to be able to turn it off that I can find.
Now it's possible if you've, no, even when I did the larger font, it still showed it.
Yeah, yeah, I typically print a big one and it doesn't
Back,
doesn't
Are
have
you-
it on it.
what calendar are you printing? The daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly?
Week.
It shows on the screen. Print. Ah, there we go. The weekly one does not show the times on the printout.
Uh-huh.
Well,
The
it does show the time, but the time that not at the event, it shows the time and the timeline on the side.
Okay,
s-
yeah, that much I got, but I was
I'm-
looking for the time on each event.
No, it won't show it that way because the time is shown, vertically on the left side of your screen, and then you just have to go across and see everything in that time zone, like 11 a.m. for example. And you can see by if you've got calendars that are multicolored, multiple calendars, the color will span whatever time that particular event or appointment is going to take.
Right.
But see, on the,
So
on
you're
the screen, it's showing the time, and on the printout, it's not.
I missed that, George.
On the screen, it's showing the time on the event, but on the printout, it's not.
Right. That's
correct. Yeah, the
Yeah,
time is strictly on the side.
Yeah.
On the printout.
I was hoping there was a way to get it to print on the to print the time too.
What you might need to do is look at some of the other calendar apps that are available that will still read iCals, sync to the cloud section, and see if they have better printing options.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Somebody else had their hand up?
Linda Weldon has a chat question.
I've just been kicked off several times and I wondered if anybody else was. I keep having to re-enter. I don't know that that's happened before, at least not in a long time, but I'm back, but
No problems
next
with
time I
me.
may do. Okay, all right, thank you. It's just helpful to know if it's just me.
Yeah.
What, do you get an error message when you get kicked
No,
off?
sir, the screen just goes back to the basic Zoom home page, and then it will reconnect me immediately, but I'll lose some pieces of conversation. So
Did you
Oh,
get
no.
Did you get any message that the connection was slow or was having some issue? Sometimes
no, I've had that message before, but I've not gotten it today. So, oh well.
I would say if you still see your internet doing weird things, at some point go to your router, unplug it, give it a good 30 seconds, plug it back in, and wait for it to come back up just to get any error.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Ken.
George, I was going to say just another comment since you brought that up about unplugging. I've got a Roku box going to a 4K TV or whatever, and then going to a sound bar. And once in a while, a message comes up saying that you need special cables, to carry the bandwidth and all that sort of stuff. And I got the absolute most expensive cables you could get, and everything is fine, I think, and whatever. And their advice is, guess what? Unplug it and plug it back in again. Plug your cable, unplug the boxes, then plug them back in again.
The reason that is actually an issue and a thing is because way back in the day, you had devices that had little like light switch, clicker switches on off. Those were hardwired connectors. They cut the power. You now have the little button. The little button puts it in power off mode.
But it's not power off. Yeah.
So any error that's in the buffer or in the memory is still there. Only removing power for at least 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
And I always wondered, the 30 seconds, it seems like a long time. I unplugged this device that had a light on it, and that light stayed on for a good 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Power. So
some of my chargers are like that. You shut the current off and the lights are still on. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why it's one of those common things people say, because until you get rid of those errors, you can't do anything else. Ken, you had
got a question. Yeah.
Yeah, this goes back to the other Ken's question about a calendar and printing the week with the times as well as the bar showing where your appointment is. About a month ago, I switched to calendars, plural of calendar. I forget whether I paid $5 or $20 for it. It wasn't much. And it was reviewed in McLife magazine a month or two ago. And I love that. And it shows, I've got it up here on my screen right now. It shows not only the bar, but it shows like today, 10 a.m. TMUG. So this will show both your times and your bar. And it does a bunch of other stuff too. It's much more comprehensive. I have all of my to-do list down on the right-hand side, and I can make them pop up on the particular day. Anyhow, one sheet does everything. And so that you might want to look at that, calendars plural.
That's on the print preview. It's showing the times.
Yeah, sitting here looking at it right now.
Great.
That sounds more like the old calendar.
Yep.
Thank you, Ken.
All right. Any other questions?
I have a comment, George. Just everybody needs to be very concerned. The con men are getting better at what they do. Yesterday, I got an email, or actually it was a text from supposedly UNC Health. And unfortunately, I've been going in and out of doctor's offices in the last 6 or 8 months, as you have. But I've used the portal that they've set up. It's really wonderful to be able to go to have an appointment and then go back and look at the doctor's notes and make sure you haven't forgotten anything. Anyway, this text I got yesterday morning early said, and it said it was from UNC Health, and that I needed to change my password quickly, immediately, and please use this link to log in to do that. Well, with a quiver in my stomach, I didn't do it. I went online and logged into my account. Well, no, it also said my account had been locked,
right,
because there were multiple attempts to get in. And I went into my portal as normal with the app, and it was fine. So, and I, anytime I get something like that, I look at the email address where it was sent from. And that'll usually tell me whether it's a con artist or what. This one looked remarkably accurate and valid, but I still didn't use it, and I'm glad. Just an FYI and a heads up, they're getting better.
I actually got a thing on Facebook that was supposedly from Facebook that somebody had reported my one page, and it was been locked. I needed to log to make any rebuttal to it, and of course they had a link to log into it, and that if I had gone in and done that, that would have given them access to my complete Facebook.
right.
Yep.
So
Been getting messages from Comporium, and they actually come from Comporium, but not .net, from .com, which is a Comporium's corporate address. And I checked the addresses also. and I dig in, and they come from legitimate looking addresses. Now, we've had a number of people here hacked at College Walk, and I've gotten their quote messages. Those are accurate emails. I don't know how they're faking it, but these are, you cannot tell that it's a spam by checking the emails anymore. We used to be able to check that. You can't do that anymore.
You can check the link. When you get a link, look at the link. Don't look at what it says. Put the pointer on it. It'll pop up a little tooltip with the actual link. Look at the domain. Right? They can't fake the web address. So if that web address is not going to where you expect it to go, it's not theirs. And general rule of thumb, doubt everything. Unless you've requested a password reset, anything that you get with a link, don't click the link. If it comes from NC Health, that's fine. Go to NC Health the way you always go, the way that you created the bookmark you saved, so that you know it's safe. Because the problem, when you log in, they'll say there's a problem.
George, I flew out of Asheville Sunday to go down to Florida for a couple days. Asheville gave you the option to connect for free for 3 months to their super fast internet, but they warn you it's not secure. So I did that. I connected. They sent me a link, to my phone, 2-factor authentication, and within 5 minutes of using that system, I started with the spam. The classic one for Amazon, we can't ship it, blah, 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 blah. I'd gotten that one before, so that was phony. I reported it. When I got to Florida, I got a whole different series of spams and compared them with the hosts, that had me over. It seems that, it's sophisticated enough that for different regions they're sending different spams, because she showed me the latest spam she was getting, and it was the same thing. When I was at her place, I got the spam. So it's really something else.
Imagine if they put that power to good use.
Amen.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's the thing, is that security, things that no matter what somebody can do to secure something, there's somebody out there that can get around it. The strongest and weakest part of security is the person sitting in front of the device. And so, and my general rule of thumb is, if in doubt, don't. Somebody who has knowledge about these things, if you're in doubt, and they can verify. Forward the email to somebody who knows a little bit more about this, and they can dig into it and look and see if it's legit. But again, bottom line is, with the exception of those things where you've requested something that you have to verify the email, don't use the links in an email. All right. Any other questions? I think we're done. Next month, Kevin is going to do a follow-up to his Safari tab groupings on the iOS device. Is that correct, Kevin? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. It'll be short because the concept's the same. So I'll review slightly, the idea of tab groups, and then demonstrate how they work on the iPad and iPhone too. I can do that as well. So
I'll put together some more shortcuts if we have time for it next week.
Yeah.
I figure we'll do shortcuts a little bits at a time, because there's so many, you don't want to overwhelm people, and it's hard to remember. And the one with my favorite today, because these are ones that I use constantly. If I don't use them once a day, I've probably been in bed all day sleeping. So, all right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming, and have a wonderful
Thank you.
Thank you, George. So long, everyone.
Bye-bye.